Hayden's story. Where do we start? Well, he was born in 2011, and he was born the day after his dad got back from Pakistan. Um, he decided to come a little early, about a week, and he came out, and his dad showed up right after he was born, and then he kind of ended up being a firecracker ever since, really. Um, he's been a really wonderful child, but a lot of learning curve for us as parents. We started with one that was typically developing, and then we ended up with one that was atypical. And we learned the ins and outs of what it was like to be a parent with a child with special needs. But we don't necessarily think it's a negative thing. We take it as part of our life and part of our family, and that's kind of who he is. He is a very emotional child and a very loving child, but he has a lot of challenges in his daily life, including, noise level and being around other kids and fitting in and understanding his environment and showing, he understands all of the different environmental factors that fit in with his world. What would you think?
Yeah. About a year after Hayden was born, being our second child, we were looking for different milestones that we had seen with our first child, with our daughter, with the trying to walk, the trying to crawl, the talking a little bit, that sort of thing, and we ran into some roadblocks. He wasn't developing the way that our daughter had. We went through a period about 6 months, taking him to different specialists and different pediatricians to try to figure out what his problem was, his developmental delays. They checked for lead, they checked his hearing, that sort of thing. And it wasn't until we went to a neurospecialist in Stanford that they told us basically that he was probably on the autism spectrum. Now, at that point, he was only about 19 months old, so it was still pretty early for them to definitively say that he was on the spectrum. But as we started getting some therapies for him, it really, he started developing more, but it became much more apparent then that he was on the autism spectrum. So he started walking pretty late. His vocabulary was and still is quite delayed, although he understands a lot more than he can express. He has the full gamut of therapies, which is quite intensive. So, having those challenges with Hayden, first figuring out, what the cause of the delays were, and then moving on to then trying to cope with these developmental issues as well.
This past year, he decided that he was on an outdoor playground with his classmates and decided that he was going to explore different areas. So what ended up happening was he was able to run away from teachers and elope over a mile for a 2-hour period and stay in an area outside of the woods and ran over to a propane treatment facility where he was found by the police department, the local police department, climbing on a gas tank of propane with his father, and I were notified he was located 2 hours later. That was our first sign of serious elopement issues, or running, as we would state it, because he doesn't just elope, he runs. He runs to areas of places you can't fine, but his dad had kind of sort of knew that earlier in the year when he was on the beach and he ran over miles and miles when he was just following him at age 3.
So, since the time that he could really walk on his own, Hayden has been quite the explorer. He would wander off if you had to pay constant attention to him, and you constantly have to pay attention to him. Specifically, well, I'd say everywhere. Whether you're at home, whether you're out at a friend's house, whether you're out in public, whenever he's at school, somebody has to maintain positive control of him because he will elope. He will leave the vicinity given any opportunity to do so. At an early age, he would, about 3 years old, he would walk and just leave a house. We were at a neighbor's house, and there was we were there for about 5 minutes. We'd just come in. We were just bringing in the food and that sort of thing for this little party that we were having, and we'd left the garage door open. And about 2 minutes later, we noticed that Hayden is nowhere around. The garage door is open, and he was gone. He was gone for about 30 minutes at that time. He was found about a half a mile away by someone else in the neighborhood. They had done they had put out a Facebook alert for their group in that neighborhood. After that, we went ahead and we got a GPS tracking watch for him that we would then attach to him, so that whenever he would escape, then we can look at the app for it and use geolocates him right where he is. In the house here, he will go and hide, and if you don't know where he went, he can disappear quite quickly. And so one of the things, the big thing that this service dog will do is
the French Briard, the herding dog. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes,
the service dog will follow him everywhere, and if he starts to leave the premises, it is trained to curb him and redirect him back to
or take him down
the place that he's supposed to be, or in the extreme, pull him to the ground and not let him go, for example, like into the street. So we have not had too many incidents of him running into the street, but what we have obviously had is him leaving wherever he's supposed to be, and
within a split second.
Yeah,
literally. Like if there's a will, there's a way for him, and he will find it out. And he is very creative, and he's a problem solver. And he will continue to problem solve, and his behaviors will only grow bigger. And we just want the sort of extra help of having the extra time to be able to get to him, or have somebody that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, to keep our son safe, because in all reality we cannot, because we still have to have life and live and do daily activities and that sort of thing.
So the capabilities of the service dog to be able to curb Hayden from an eloping is, of course, a big safety issue for us and for him, giving us that those precious seconds when he initially can break the line of sight, and then you lose him. That dog having that capability to be able to keep him from doing that. The dog's ability to calm him down from his stimming and sort of break the repetitive cycle when he gets into an episode of overstimulation, whether it's in public or at home, to be able to distract him, sort of, and have him snap out of the overstimulation. That's a big quality of life thing for Hayden, so that he can then redirect his attention to other things other than those surrounding issues. Um,
Right. The ability to go out as a family, and be able to do things even in the house in public. I mean, in the house, daily things such as me doing the dishes and our son sort of being corralled by the service dog because they get kind of their behavior changes when his behavior changes, so they are notified and they're alerted when he is in distress, and then we can react faster as we are living our lives in our home and even out in public, being able to have the ability to go grocery shopping or do going out to dinner or family activities, um, to make his quality of life a little bit better and ours as well, so we don't feel so restricted to a certain environment and certain people that can only, sort of accept our issue because we really can't sit down literally at a football, Super Bowl Sunday thing or a, birthday party because one of us has to be on constant alert for our son. We cannot go one place as a family without worrying about if he's going to, elope or he's going to have a behavior and he's going to hide in houses. It has happened numerous amounts of times, and it would be nice to have the extra upper hand to at least help and sort of buffer that. The service dog will not replace us, but it will give us a chance to, function as a family more. Also in public, this is a minor thing, but my son, if you look at him, he looks very typically developing, very, mainstream, but a dog will help him in public with a service dog to socialize more with his peers, which he needs because his one of his disabilities or one of his areas of challenges are social interaction and being able to have peers his age associate with him, and so he's there to associate more because the dog is sort of there as the neutral ground to show that hey, something's going on, but our son can socialize and he's not seen as much as a stigma. And in public, he's also to parents or other adults. When the service dog is there and they see our son, who looks typically developing, they will know something is kind of going on with our child neurologically, or that he has a disability. So when these behaviors do occur, such as elopement or a meltdown or these sorts of things, the public is aware and his peers are aware that he is there to socialize, but he does have a neurological impairment, and those can impede his development as well as his puzzle piece in society, how he fits. So that to me is a huge ordeal with having one. So I don't know. That's really about it.